Hi guys, this is Brooksi Bottari, Director of Veteran Initiatives here at Melwood Veterans Services, back to talk to you today about how to manage our anxiety. In the last video, we talked about what is happening, why it's happening, and today I want to talk to you about how to manage those symptoms. This is something that's extremely manageable, but everything about this quarantine situation goes against all of the natural tendencies in our bodies. Our bodies need to be moving. Our bodies need to be managing stresses throughout the day. And that happens in a non-quarantine environment. So now we have the time, we have the silence to be able to notice things that are happening inside of our body that are not necessarily natural if we were out in the world functioning in a normal capacity. So I have some tools that I use every single day. Now, here's the key with using a new tool. It's very important that you don't try to use a tool for the very first time when you're in the middle of panic or you're in the middle of anxiety. What you need to realize is that by trying this for the first time, when you're feeling very anxious, when you're feeling very overwhelmed, it's not going to work. It's just not. Because our body not only signals to itself that it's in danger, it now signals that we are trying something new. And it says, wait a minute, if you're going into 911 mode to try to make this go away, then we must be in extra danger. So it's not going to work if you try it for the very first time in this way. So I would suggest that all of the tools that I discuss with you today, you try to use when you're feeling calm, that you try to use them maybe when you're in the environment where you're watching TV, where you're sitting on your couch, where there's not a lot of adrenaline coursing through your veins. Because again, if you try it for the first time when you're in crisis, it's going to backfire. So first of all, let's talk about what signals to our brain to our body. There is this nerve system within our body that we all have that's called the vagus nerve. Vagus means wandering. This is the largest nerve system in our entire body. It goes from our brain and it touches into all of the parts of our body. It goes into our arms, our legs, our stomach, our lungs. And this is something that there is a constant communication that's going on between the vagus nerve in all the parts of our body and our brain. I don't know where you hold your anxiety, but for me, one of the first signs of anxiety for me is when I start feeling nauseous. I have a very difficult time managing my nausea when I'm feeling extremely anxious. For some people, they feel it in their chest. For other people, they feel it in their heartbeat. Now, granted, I have some of those symptoms, but for me, for the most part, it's always going to go into my GI tract, my digestive system. It could be acid reflux. It could be diarrhea. It could be vomiting. It could be all of these things that are directly related to my gastrointestinal process in my body. But this is directly related to the vagus nerve. And what I have to do is I have to develop vagal tone. Vagal tone, just like tone for your body, is I have to train my vagus nerve that I'm okay. So I have to teach it to talk to my brain and say, okay, brain, I'm okay. Our body is, everything's fine. We don't need to be alerted. Now, one of the things that I do just right off the top is I have begun to look at anxiety as something that is trying to be my friend and trying to be my ally. It is not my enemy. Anxiety is designed to help to keep me alive and to help to keep me safe. So if I begin to look at anxiety through the lens of this is a friend that's trying to keep me safe, and I need to teach this friend what makes me safe and what doesn't, then that's a whole different relationship than, oh no, here comes the beast, here comes the enemy, I'm in danger, get this thing out of here, I hate it, let's run away from anxiety. That's counterintuitive, and it's not going to allow the anxiety to go away because it's going to cause it to ramp up even more because I'm running away from it, so it needs to hurry and catch me. So the vagus nerve is very important. And like I said, it touches so many different parts of our body and so many different parts of our system that for us to be able to talk to it and communicate is going to get us to the point where we can start to have this natural communication to keep things down regulated and keep myself calm. There's an internal locus of control, is what it's called psychologically. And if I can begin to understand that the control lies within me, and the external locus of control has nothing to do with me. The things on the outside of me, I cannot control, and I need to accept that. But what I can control is how my body responds to all of the things going on around me. So one of the very key things that I know people tell you when you're feeling anxiety is just breathe, which sounds ridiculous. And if you don't know how to breathe, it's even more ridiculous. So one of the things that I've often tried to teach people is if somebody walked up behind you and placed their hands firmly on your shoulders and you had difficulty breathing when you're trying to just breathe, it's because you're breathing incorrectly. Think about it. If I am running away from someone, like that zebra we talked about in the last video, if I am trying to run really fast to get away from someone, then my body is going to start breathing using my shoulders because it's trying to get air into my lungs as fast as it possibly can. But what this does is it signals to my brain in that moment that I am trying to run fast and I'm trying to escape danger. So the problem lies in the way I'm breathing. However, if I can drop my oxygen down into my belly and actually cause my belly to rise and fall, then I'm actually going to get my vagus nerve activated, because it's going to say, hey, if she were trying to run really fast, she would not be breathing slowly like this. She would be breathing really heavily. So she must be okay. So one way that you can practice doing this, if it feels very awkward to you, is to lie flat on the floor on your back and place your hands directly on your stomach and watch your hands rise and fall with your breath. It's very important that you breathe in as deeply as you can to the very, very bottom of your breathing, and then you exhale all the way to the end of your breath. One thing that I've used to practice this for myself is to take an inflatable ball, a balloon, something that requires you to actually blow it up, but you visually can see what's happening. And I try to blow as much as I can to make the balloon expand with one breath. What you're going to find is that you're going to expel your breath all the way to the bottom in the way that you should be doing when you're practicing this type of breathing. So practice this. This is the surefire way. This requires nothing in your hands, no equipment, nothing to distract you. You can practice this breathing at any time of the day. Another very important thing, and this also is very important with COVID-19 being something that gets into your lungs, which is actually causing me a lot of anxiety to think that I would get to the point of not being able to breathe. But it's really important that you practice opening your chest up. If you have one of those foam rollers, if your kids have an inflatable ball, take some of the air out of that and lay on top of it and open yourself up. Put a pillow behind your shoulders, something that's going to force your lungs to expand in a way that's opposite than what we're used to doing. A lot of us have rounded posture. We sleep with a pillow or we're holding somebody. We're always like this. And this is counterintuitive to breath. If I can open this up and expand this, then I'm going to begin to force myself to breathe in a way that's actually oxygenating instead of just over aspirating. Also, your pec muscles could be extremely tight in ways that you don't even realize. Go into a door frame and square your arm up on the door frame and lean slowly into it. And you're going to start to feel the muscle here in your pectoral area start to open up. And this is important. Keep your arm, make sure it's at a 90-degree angle, lean into it, and you can even slightly massage these pec muscles to open yourself up. All of this is going to result in more life-giving breath, and it's going to help you to calm down when you're in the middle of a panic attack. Now, what are some other ways to activate the vagus nerve? You can hum. You can suck on a piece of candy in your mouth. You can actually take a drink of water and you can hold the water in your mouth. Now, I'm not talking about a huge mouthful of water. I'm talking about lightly having water. Your tongue can even sit marinating in this water. When our tongue is marinated in water, it signals to the vagus nerve that we're calm, that we're okay. You can even rock yourself. This is a very comforting move that can make you feel very much activated within your vagus nerve and within your calm center. You can hum, you can rock. A lot of the things that babies do, sucking a pacifier, sucking their thumb, having us rock them to sleep, this is not because the baby's bratty and needs somebody to hold them, or they're addicted to a pacifier. This is because they are activating their vagus nerve when they're sucking on something and when they have something in their mouth, and it's very, very nurturing to us to be able to do that. Another tool is to pause. There's a 3-minute breathing exercise that you can do. This sounds silly. I know you've heard all of these kinds of things, but truly take the time to do this. Now, in the first minute, I want you to sit for 1 minute, set a timer, and I want you to listen to all the sounds around you. I want you to listen to the far away sounds, the close sounds, listen to the sound of silence. Whatever's around you, I want you to identify the sounds, and I want you to do that for 1 full minute. The second minute, I want you to breathe. I want you to notice your breath. I want you to feel the air coming through your nostrils, going out of your lungs. I want you to feel the breath. I want you to notice how you're breathing. Are you breathing through your shoulders by lifting them and dropping them? Or are you able to drop it into your belly? Notice your breath. And the third minute, I want you to focus on your body sensations. What do you feel in your body? My shoulder hurts. My forearm is tingling. I feel a little bit hungry. I didn't notice this tweak in my neck. Weird. I wonder what that came from. Notice the sensations in your body. And as you get more familiar with noticing the sensations in your body, I want you to start identifying where you feel anxiety. Where is it coming in? When do you start to feel anxiety? This is a very, very simple exercise, but it also requires a lot of forethought. I can start to feel when anxiety is happening for me when I start to get that little bit of tightening in my chest, or I start to feel nauseous. Those are the two ways that I know that I'm starting to feel anxious. And I've gotten into the habit of taking back steps to figure out what happened to bring me to that point. Now, like I said in the last video, sometimes I wake up in the middle of the night and I feel overly anxious. I feel like I can't breathe for whatever reason. And it feels like it's coming out of nowhere. But oftentimes, if I really focus on that, what I'm gonna find is that I read something before I went to bed that was extremely upsetting to me. I talked to somebody who's dealing with symptoms of COVID-19, and now I suddenly have this hypochondriac belief that all of the things that they have, I am now feeling. It doesn't matter where it comes from, but the bottom line is I have some control of how I handle that. Now, understand that I am in no way suggesting that this is an easy time or that this is a time that you should get over in any way. There are people that are 17 million people are out of work, I believe I read this afternoon. People filing for unemployment. People that are worried about where their next paycheck is coming from. Domestic violence is at an all-time high worldwide. LGBT kids are at home in homes that are not necessarily accepting of them, trying to figure out how to make it through every single day. So this is a very difficult time for all of us. And I am not presenting a series of solutions to all of the problems that we're facing. My message to you today, however, is as hard as this is, unless we take back our thoughts and unless we take back our body, it's going to even be harder. And even in those moments that I have no control over, I have to let go, because there's nothing that we can do to control the situation. Me staying up later and longer, me making sure that I monitor everything around me at all times, is an illusion that I have some sense of control. But what I do have 100% control over is my body, my breath, the air that goes in and out of my lungs, whether or not I allow myself to open myself up to breathe. All of these things are completely within my control. The theme of let go has been resonated for me in so many ways over the last few weeks. I've heard it in different ways from so many people, and it seems counterintuitive to let go. But one of the tools that I use with my anxiety is to observe it. If I am an observer of something, rather than somebody that's buckled in, my seatbelt's on, I'm ready on the roller coaster, holding on to the handles, that's very different than me standing on the sidelines and observing somebody on a roller coaster. So if I can begin to observe my anxiety, I'm going to find that every single time, it's a little bit different than it was the last time. If we look at what's the same, oh no, here it comes again, the same tightening, the same nausea, the same way that I feel in this moment when I woke up this morning. We are going to begin churning and churning and churning, believing that this thing is never going to go away. However, if I observe my anxiety, wow, today I'm still feeling tight in my chest, but it's a little bit different than it was yesterday. Yesterday, it was more here. Today, it's dropped a little bit lower. I'm an observer. Wow, I feel really nauseous, but yesterday I felt like I was going to throw up. Today, I don't. It just feels more like acid reflux to me today. Start to notice the differences. What's different about every situation? That is going to give us some small sense of control. And again, it's not going to fix our problems. But until we feel like we can at least control ourselves, this is going to get worse and worse. Our world is going to become smaller and smaller as we try to grasp for anything that we can control. And nothing makes us more vulnerable to COVID-19 than a low immune system. And the amount of energy that it takes me every single day just to combat my anxiety is so much and so overwhelming that my immunity is naturally going to drop. So eat healthy food, drink a lot of water, and stretch. I'm not oversimplifying this, but we can handle this and we do have some control. Thank you, be healthy, and look out for part 3.